Hello, Mr. Chris Gaunt. Welcome to our program.
Thank you.
I'd like to start with the existing relations of Turkey and the UK. In 2018, both countries have agreed that trade could be increased to $20 billion, where it was around $16 billion in 2017. Was this target met, and where are we in the cycle right now?
Well, the target was actually exceeded. So now we've reached $23 billion. So, a great success. As part of that, there was an increase of 9% in UK exports to Turkey, and we also saw an increase in Turkey exports to UK. So, we're in a good place.
And I would like to ask about 2019 projections, but I think this topic can't be discussed without Brexit. Turkey is in a customs union with the European Union, and United Kingdom is about to leave the EU in less than 2 months. How would Brexit affect the trade between Turkey and the UK, or would there be any disruptions?
Hopefully not. Obviously, the Brexit situation is proving difficult to resolve in order to get everybody to agree. And from my perspective, we all have a duty of care, both the government, politicians, the voting public, business, to actually make sure that we do end up with a deal that actually protects our economy and protects our business, and also protects our trading relationships with our major trading partners, which Turkey is one. We've got, as I say, $23 billion worth of bilateral trade to protect, and I think it's very high on the priority of UK government to ensure that that relationship continues, and that we continue to build on that 23 billion. There are teams from the DIT team in Istanbul and Ankara working with their respective ministries to ensure that everything is at least put in place, so that we have as little friction as we can, to ensure that the trading relationships continues pretty much as it is. So the UK government are working very hard to ensure that that happens, but until we know just exactly where we will be with Brexit, it's difficult to predict what the consequences of a no deal will be, what the consequences of a deal. Do we stay in some sort of customs union? It's unpredictable at the moment, but from talking to my colleagues in DIT, they're very keen to make sure that business continues as usual with Turkey. It's very important to us.
And UK companies also report that they have been diverting time and investment resources to Brexit, where otherwise it could be directed to growth and investment. And businesses are preparing contingency plans to try to deal with the uncertainty. There are a few scenarios, like how you mentioned, for Brexit. But what would be the ideal scenario for businesses?
For businesses to have a deal. We need a deal. We need to keep a trading relationship with the EU. It's vitally important that we do that, and we also need to have the opportunity to trade with other countries through new free trade deals. So it's in our interest to find the right way to get that deal. And as far as UK companies are concerned, they obviously, because of the unknown outcome at this moment in time, they have to take every scenario on the table and look how they can deal with a no deal, how they can deal with a customs union arrangement, how we can set up new free trade agreements around the world. So I'm sure they're all working very hard to make sure that they have contingency plans to cover the various scenarios, because time is short. We're talking less than 2 months now, and we still don't have a clear direction of travel, and I'm I'm sure lots of businesses are very concerned about that.
Maybe that was the uncertainty, the negative part. But on the other hand, according to CBI, the majority of businesses in the UK are examining what opportunities may arise out of Brexit.
Absolutely. I mean, if we can strike free trade deals with countries without being part of the EU, the freedom to do that, then obviously there are positives there. And also, as I said before, if we get the right deal with the EU, we can continue to trade with the EU. I mean, Turkey's a bit unique in that there is a customs union for Turkey with the EU currently, and hopefully that will continue. So we can work on how we can ensure that the deal that we strike with the EU also allows us to continue with Turkey, who is still part of a customs union. As I say, I think the government are committed to make sure that happens. But UK businesses do see positives of leaving the EU, but they have to be in the right conditions. If we don't have the right conditions that allow us to realise that potential, then life's going to be difficult.
And for the last question, the UK has a traditional structure, trade structure with Turkey. It exports high value added goods and imports basic goods. As the trade relations are growing, which industries do you see benefiting?
Well, technology is quite a high priority for both UK and now for Turkey. We held an Invest in UK, Technology Invest in UK conference 2 weeks ago, DIT in Istanbul, and there was a lot of interest there from Turkish IT companies who were looking to invest in UK. Now, there are win-wins there because UK is still, after Silicon Valley, probably the centre in terms of creativity and innovation. So, it's the place to be in order to learn and exchange new practices, new technology. And, Turkish companies could very much benefit from that and then bring that capability back to Turkey. So, we'll be looking for, creating opportunities to both inward invest to UK and also for outward investment from UK to Turkey in the technology sector. But that's not the only one. I mean, construction is also a high priority through UKEF. I don't know whether you're familiar with UK Export Finance. It's a bit like Turkish Exim Bank, and they are very keen to work with Turkish construction companies in order to finance projects which Turkish companies are involved in, not just in Turkey but outside Turkey as well, in Central Asia, the Middle East, North Africa, where the Turkish constructors are extremely strong. And if we can get around 30% UK content in that transaction, whereby the Turkish construction company is buying products, services, machinery from UK, to a minimum of 30%, then UKEF can finance up to 85% of the whole project. So that's a very attractive proposition, and there are already deals that have been done which have actually benefited from that. So, we're looking at construction, we're looking at technology, we're looking at innovation and creativity. Obviously, the automotive factor is very important, and we know that the Turkish automotive sector is growing. We're also seeing a big increase in the capability in technology as well. I'm here this week. I'll be meeting with the Northern Powerhouse in Manchester tomorrow to discuss opportunities to engage with the Turkish tech sector, because I don't think that the UK technology sector quite understands how quickly the Turkish technology sector has actually developed, and there are Turkish technology companies who are actually in advance of some of the UK companies.
Mr. Gaunt, thank you very much for your participation in our program. It's been a great insight for our
Thank you, it was a pleasure.
viewers.
Thank you.
Açıl, Türkiye, İngiltere ve Brexit ilişkilerini değerlendirmeye çalıştık. Sözü yeniden size bırakıyorum.